Next artist has established himself as an instant superstar. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the game.
When I first heard the beat from Hate It or Love It, my friendship, my brotherhood with Cool and Dre was forged for life because I knew once Hate It or Love It dropped, I knew that I was cemented and I wasn't going nowhere.
Hate it or love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine, homie, until my heart stop.
That is the record that literally put me where I needed to be and where I knew I was going to stay. And I knew I would be where I am today because Hate It or Love It was going to be successful. I knew it. There was something in that beat. Cool and Dre sat somewhere and they made it together, and that, I think, changed the course of everybody's lives.
Yo, what up, it's Cool.
What up, it's DRE, Dre. We Cool and Dre, and we hanging out with Don Cannon. You know what it is.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Villa Lake Oasis.
So this is the studio in Miami, Florida. Cool and Dre's had this studio for 16 years. We were blessed to partner with Airbnb, and we ain't paid a bill yet. Why? Because the Airbnb is having this shit pop off. Whenever me and Cool are here for like big sessions or we're in here working, if you ever been to Makoto and Bal Harbor shops, the chefs that's doing the sushi, they come here and they prepare the sushi for Cool and Dre. Let's take it to the studio. This is maybe 1% of all the plaque. You see our brother DJ Khaled? I was just on the phone, FaceTime with him. He was letting Cannon know he's working on an album. He was letting Cannon know, I need the Uzi Vert records. Tell Uzi not to play it for nobody. He was telling Cannon, I need the Cannon beats for the album.
Absolutely.
So, some plaques, but please, 0.5%. Cool and Dre's 125 million albums sold in our career. Do the math, it's real facts. I know, I can't believe it. Here goes the main room. This is where the magic happens. So that's the 2000 that created all the hits in the first phase of our career, the New Yorks, the Rodeos, the Hate It or Love It, My Life or The Game featuring Lil Wayne. Also All My Life, J-Rock featuring Lil Wayne. The backyard, as I told you before, it's got a 17-mile length. Our neighbors next door, if you want to go to the Bahamas, you ain't got to go to Miami International Airport. You ain't got to go to Fort Lauderdale Airport. I ain't gonna lie, when we first got the studio, late night, we used to see things falling out the sky into the lake. Who knows what's going on with the planes? But here we go. This is the spot.
Oh! Bullseye! Bullseye!
You got the bullseye vibes in the cut. Richie Caliente, that's one of his sculptures.
Yo, it's the only Airbnb that you're gonna have 4 15-inch Tannoy vintage speaker boxes.
That's right.
To play your beats and your music
That's
while
right.
you're here vibing.
What's dope about this room, it's called, you wanna make the magic happen? Make the magic happen. What type of magic? All type of magic. You wanna set up your production gear in here and make beats here? You get a view to the lake.
Let me tell you why that's an important episode, because the South does not get enough respect for the producers that's down here. And I wanted to say that because one of my favorite duos, groups in Miami, Cool and Dre, are here with me right now. This is BackTrak. This is a crazy episode. This is a classic episode, and you're gonna see them firsthand remaking Hate It or Love It. What's up, guys? What's up?
What's good?
Man, y'all never knew y'all was one of my favorite producers, huh?
Appreciate you, King.
Yeah, that's why I was on y'all. I've been hitting y'all. I know y'all had a lot of things going on, but I was definitely hitting y'all because I was like, man, it's no way I can get through a season without having y'all on here and showing how crafty and how good y'all are with these samples.
Appreciate you, my brother.
Yeah. So tell us about the history a little bit. I know off camera we were talking about y'all love for Outkast and the Dungeon Family. I think that's a big story that people need to hear. I know you started at 16.
We was trying to do the R&B thing in high school.
That's crazy. I never knew that.
Yeah, we was trying to, you know, everything serves its purpose, right? So, and we weren't like in vocal ensemble. This wasn't even like choir class. This is like an advanced ensemble class. And, you know, they taught us, the teacher, Miss Alexander, she taught us like how to use your diaphragm and how to really like, you know what I'm saying, use your instrument. That came really handy as we were working with like singers, because we could like sing the reference for them, tell them exactly how they had to sing it, harmony arrangements, you know what I'm saying? So that chorus class really fine-tuned us without us even knowing, you know what I mean?
That's dope.
And then the R&B group, you know, showed us how to be able to work with singers. It's one thing to make a track, but when you can go in there and sing the whole reference and do the backgrounds,
and help
and write the record.
Yeah, and help the
Production.
vocalists use their instrument right. You know what I'm saying? So that early on, that would surprise motherfuckers, because they would just so like, we gonna get like a hot beat or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then they'd come in and hear full records.
And Dre go in there and sing a whole reference.
Like, who's
They're
that
hold on, who
singing
the hell
on that
is
shit?
Hold on.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying?
always been my nightmare, bro. I couldn't reference my own records. I knew the melodies,
Yeah.
but I couldn't reference them.
Yeah,
You know what I
so
mean?
that
when I heard y'all, I was like,
Yeah.
yo, now I understand what the background is about. Y'all already knew the
yeah, we
science.
everything that we learned, so we'd be able to like produce an artist, and if they sang, we would help them hit notes, do certain things, you know, technically to help you, you know, hit notes or your breathing technique. We would do that in the session, you know what I'm saying? And artists would be like really, they'd be like surprised, be like, okay, I see why y'all winning, because you here producing. Like, I thought I was just gonna get a beat.
Yeah, there's music production and there's vocal production.
Yep.
That's right.
Vocal production is a monster. You got to know what the hell you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because not only arrangement, but you got to know how to get the best out of the artist. Because you know, if the vibe ain't right, if the artist ain't singing to their full capacity, it takes the vocal producer to bring the best qualities out of them, you know what I'm saying, vocally. And not only on the singing side, you know, the rap side is easy, you know what I mean? But you know, when you got to get in there with like a Mary J. Blige, and she, you know, we can sing her an idea, a reference, and she's like, okay, boom, boom, boom. She goes in there and knocks it out, makes it a lot easier. So definitely those early chorus singing R&B group days prepared us without us even knowing, because we was really trying to be.
Oh no, we
was really trying to be R&B singers. You know what I'm saying?
112. Like,
Yeah, we was doing shows.
We were ready to go.
Y'all was dancing and everything.
Locally, we was
harmonizing, doing all that
acapella,
shit.
the whole thing.
But that's how we started making beats, because the producers, we couldn't get no beats for the group, and niggas was charging us like a stack, 2 stacks for beats, and we 17, 18 years old.
We
We
eat
ain't got
Taco
that
Bell
money.
for
You know what I'm
dinner,
saying?
lunch and dinner.
So
Like,
we was like, yo, me and Cool was just like, yo, let's just spend that money on buying our own shit, and we'll teach ourselves how to make beats. You know what I'm saying? So by doing that, we learned how to make beats. We were recording. That's what we loved about Dungeon Family. Back to Dungeon Family, they were self-contained and Organized Noise. They were like the brains behind the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Amazing producers who utilize every aspect of music, whether it's soul, whether it was rock, rap, sampling, live musicians, singing going on. You had Joy that would sing, you had CeeLo that would sing, you had Sleepy Brown that would sing. Like, they were using every element of music, and that's why we gravitated to them immediately. You know what I'm saying? Because they were doing everything that we wanted to do.
and they're from the South, like us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what I was saying. That's
and
why
we
I said-
understood.
The South
like,
got something to say.
yeah.
the South
It
got
was the
something to
first,
say.
I was telling Cannon when he was here, Cool, I was just like, man, I remember the first time I heard Players Ball, I pulled up to my parents' house, because we were still kids. I had a Hyundai, and the shit came on the radio, and I just sat in the car, couldn't believe it. Turned the car back on and drove back to Cool's house to tell him about the song I just heard. The song is incredible. Cass was the first nigga speaking a language that, like, I understood everything these niggas was talking about. They sound like us. And that was a time where Atlanta really, really, really appreciated Miami culture.
Yeah.
So everything that was coming out of Miami, they received it and they were producing it. You had Kilo out there doing his thing, niggas with the bass music. You know what I'm saying? JT Money. They loved JT Money the way we loved them. You know what I'm saying? So hearing it was like an extension.
Yeah, they were like
of
cousins.
niggas.
Miami, no, Atlanta was always like cousins to Miami.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They left a stain on the brain, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Sonics of how they put together their music from. We knew all the musicians.
Oh,
You
so-
know what I'm saying? Like Craig Love, Crump on the bass. Like, we knew really, literally know all the musicians,
The writers.
the writers, and we listened. It gave us the guide of how to work with musicians. A lot of times when you work live instrumentation in your music, it can get jazzy real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, this is the same
and you,
conversation
yeah,
I have a lot of people.
Yeah, you can
jazzy
tend to
real quick.
overproduce and really water down your production. So they managed to keep that grit and dirt with live instruments. And that's where it was like, we really were like, and they added the hip hop elements with the scratches, and it was just
Breaks
like,
and all that.
yeah, that's what we loved. The incorporation of the live instrumentation was not normal. Meaning like, yo, play a little guitar riff. No, it was like Craig Love was just taking the string of going, Neil Pogue, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Our brother put the crazy effects and the mixes on them records. I mean, from production to like A/B and mixes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the only thing we was trying to figure out is how they got the shit to sound and make how they did. And, we ended up finding out later on.
For a long time when I visited the dungeon, I thought it was just the dungeon that made it sound like that. You know what I mean? Because you was in there, it just had a feel. You know what I mean? Any room you was in, it just like, it's got to be like, back in the day, they was talking about the chambers, the echoes, the lay rooms. It was like, it was something about the dungeon that made it feel like that. You know what I mean?
And they were always sampling obscure shit.
Always.
They never really was recycling a vibe. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Cool and Dre, we guilty of recycling a couple vibes, you know what I'm saying?
All good.
But it's always from a good space,
That's all
a good place. But, they would sample that obscure shit like Policewoman for Watch for the Hook. No, Policewoman was no. Dun, 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 the old school players, the new school fools. Jazz people becoming like kangaroos.
Yep. And then the 5 stair steps on 2 Door Boys in a Cadillac. Like, and the thing is, some of the offsprings of organized noise, like the Black Market.
Yeah,
and
Black
them
Market.
dudes that worked on that damn
Holiday or Witch Doctor.
Every day is a
That
holiday.
beat was
Like
incredible.
Black Market, where y'all at?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where y'all at, Black Market?
That
You know what I'm saying?
fucking-
Like that production on that Witch Doctor episode. So you had Mr. DJ,
Which is
Yeah,
incredible.
crazy.
went crazy. Went
Crazy.
crazy.
He did Wheels of Steel too, right?
Crazy.
DJ.
Yes, bro. Mr. DJ.
I know
did
he
some of
cut
my
on it, but
favorite-
did he produce it too, right? I think
Yeah,
so.
he did some of my favorite Goody Mob records. You know what I'm saying?
Even Outkast, they were
Oh,
producing,
yes.
and CeeLo, and
Yes.
everybody was
Elevators.
producing. Yeah.
And can't forget even Craig Love. Like he went
Craig
on with Lil
Love.
Jon and started going and
Craig
went
Love
crazy with Lil Jon.
Craig Love went on the run. You know
Lil
what
Jon
I'm saying?
snatched him up like, yo, come on, Craig. Come on.
We was living in Atlanta when Elevators dropped. Big Boy leaked the record to radio because L.A. Reid didn't believe in the song, so he just leaked that shit,
Yep.
and that shit took off crazy. What was it back then in Atlanta? Hot 97 something? What
Yep.
was this?
Hot 179.
Yeah, I 107.9.
What was your first piece of equipment?
ASR 10. I was DJing. I was in all the clubs, the hip hop clubs. Hey, I need my son. He doing a 15th birthday. Me and Dre was in the back of the Grand Marquis with the bass bin in the back, driving to some rich people's house somewhere, setting up the shit and DJing for their little kids. You know what I'm saying? But they was, that was paying the bills. And we were doing like a lot of like DJ for the big Fuji's concerts, like a lot of the concerts that came out here, we were DJing. We did the whole underground
Pirate
radio
radio,
circuit,
totally.
pirate radio with
Yeah.
Mix 96 and
919.
919. So we went through all the stages from R&B singing to the DJing, which was a natural transition from DJing to producing. You know what I'm saying? Any chance I could get, I'm grabbing some vinyl from somewhere. So I could spend a weekend at a damn record store just going through vibes. Those steps led us to ASR 10.
Well, let's keep it real. And if that's the case, the first instrument was Technique 1200s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can say
I mean,
that.
that's the first instrument.
Cannon, you a DJ, so you would appreciate this. So, but
Yeah.
before motherfuckers doing master, me and Dre was ahead of we was in the future with it.
Word.
Like we mixed Shook One's Part 2 acapella with Boys II Men, Water Runs Dry instrumental. And when I tell you, it sounded like a masterpiece in
But y'all
heaven.
knew the keys, cause y'all, you know what I'm saying?
Not only was it in the same key, but every change complemented everything
That's wild.
Prodigy was saying.
It was a stupid
Nah.
one.
But
And
it
we
was
played it on the underground.
It was so crazy that I did a DJ competition. Part of the competition was a mashup vibe. I opened it up, that right there won the whole shit. And then the second mix, we mixed fucking Scarred by Uncle Luke
Yeah.
with fucking Buju Banton. Yeah. Till I'm laid to rest, yeah. That shit over a bass beat?
Nah, that shit was
Nah, the
crazy.
people was like, nah, they couldn't take it. Brr, like,
Yeah, and that was the first thing we could get at to create. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was saying the turntables. We were doing more than just play. We were like creating on that bitch and figured out, okay, we gotta get a sampler. Like, you know what I mean? We could put the beats. And we also had, when nobody was doing this, and this before we even got an MPC, we hooked up the ASR 10 to the first Mac computer. What was it?
Bro, we found some motherfucker that had shit that was like 2 gigahertz, the slowest shit with like 3 megabytes of hard drive space. But that shit had this Mark of the Unicorn sequencer in there. What that shit did, it taught us about quantizing and all of the scores, note repeat, step repeat, because you know that's all sequencing on the computer is different from, you know what I'm saying? It was completely different. So
it made us computer literate with software. Because everybody else had an SB12 or MPC. That's what everyone was programming on that. And me and Cool were programming on a computer, Mark of the Unicorn program, recording, linking it to the
little reel, 8-track reel to reel,
linking everything through. You know what I'm saying? So it taught us
how
it made us
install
computer literate
shit,
early.
computer literate. After that, we got a better computer, and then we started using Cubase. And then Cubase, once we started on Cubase, we understood a lot of the computer language for creating music.
Everything is a derivative of that, you know what I'm saying? So to other people, that shit looked like Chinese letters. To me and Cool, we were like, oh no, this is like the shit we use. Oh,
no,
it's
there's
just
a picture of me and Dre somewhere. I got the picture, and we in front of that little ass Mac. I wish we would have kept it, because that Mac is like a relic now. You know what I'm saying? Like that little small Mac, bro, them shits is expensive as fuck.
Worth a couple million.
But yeah, so, you know, that was the first gear. And then after that, we was on the ASR 10, and then we started, you know, producing for our own little crew. And it was time to start mixing records. And Lou Diaz, shout out Lou Diaz, he's a legend in the game. The mixes weren't coming back like Life and Times Volume 1. It was like, it's not. So we was putting that on the engineer, like, you gotta get our shit to sound like this, man. You ain't doing it right. They say you're supposed to be the best. And then one day he just went bad. And he said, man, stop using that fucking piece of shit ASR 10 and go get a fucking MPC 3000 and sample the fucking drums off that fucking album that you like.
He said, you put shit in, you get shit out. He's like, I can't do nothing with it. He's like, I can't do nothing with it. But it was those words resonated with us. He was like, hold on. He's like, I can't take a piece of shit and make it sound like gold. The minute I start adding to that piece of shit, it's just gonna tear that shit up. It's gonna get worse. Remember, somebody let us borrow an MPC 62.
62. Yep.
And we plugged that shit up, and we said, yo, let's run the test. Put that kick in there, and we said, oh, we gotta get an MPC.
Wow.
And that's it. Immediately.
So you had the 2000 first or the 3000?
No, it was the MPC 62, and then once we gave that shit back, we bought a 2000
XL, and then we had a 3000, like maybe a couple months later.
We bought all them shits that came out, because it was like we had the 1000, we had the 2, we had the XL, the 3. Only one we didn't get the 4000.
Yeah, that's the one.
By then we
was already on Logic.
I got that one myself.
By then we started fucking around with Logic.
Yeah, I was on Logic too.
And started loving the convenience of doing everything on the computer. You know what I'm saying? Program on the computer, but we'd use the sounds from the MPC.
So your first record ever major was?
Our first placement was a combination of the Fat Joe, King of New York, right?
King of New York,
and then the 2 JT
Joe,
Money records, right?
And JT Money, which was a big deal for us, especially from Miami.
JT Money from the city, yeah.
King of New York with Budger on there was like a life changer, because it took me and Cool out of Miami, where we were killing the local scene with the beats. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? We was getting them off. But at that time, none of the artists in Miami were really breaking through.
Yeah.
And then later, like in 2000, like Trick broke through and Trina broke through, but they had their own camp. They had their own like in-house producer. Even though we ended up working with them a couple years later, Joe, working with him, he recognized the talent. You know, we did King of New York. Our man Robert Hernandez, we're mutual friends with Joe. That's how we met Joe. Was like, hey, yo, Fat Joe's working on an album, and he wants some down south shit. And I told him, like, yo, I know some guys that can do it. So Rob was like, yo, just down south music, don't do nothing else. So me and Cool was like, all right, cool, we got a shit ton of some, you know, trap music. We call it that back then, you know what I'm saying? So we put a shitload on the CD. Like, how many beats, 30?
32.
32.
We always did 32.
Yeah, so it was 31.
Number, 32.
Yeah, so it was 31 down south beats. And then we was like, yo, let's just put one joint up there. It's Fat Joe, we gotta give him one. So it was the very last beat.
And that's what me and Cool did. We did anything with the beats. We made bass albums, house albums, whatever we had to do.
Right.
But, you know, our passion was, you know, Primo, Dr. Dre, you know what I'm saying, Timberland, like, you know. So it was the last song on the CD, and Joe was like going through them fast, like, you know what I'm saying? And then when the last song came on, he was like, there's no way that the niggas who did the first 31 beats that I just ran through, because I didn't like any of them, did this last joint. It's impossible. And they from Miami. Niggas from Miami don't know how to do this. I got to meet him. So he came to Miami, recorded the record here at Hit Factory, and we met him. And then Khaled came to the session, and we were already really tight with Khaled. And Khaled was telling Joe, like, these the guys you're telling me about? Like, oh, this fam, man, it's Cool and Dre, this fam, what are you talking about? So when Joe seen that, he was just like, oh, okay, whenever I come to Miami, I'm gonna tap in with Cool and Dre. So, you know, that was a big deal for us, you know what I'm saying? Because it put us now in New York. Like a couple months later, he had an R&B artist, and he asked us to flip T-O-N-Y from CNN. So we flipped it, and then I wrote the song and referenced it, and we sent it to him. All he thought he was getting was the beat. So when he played it, he called, he was like, yo, who's that singing? I'm like, yo, that's me. And he goes, you did that? You wrote that too? Like, I ain't know that. Y'all niggas sing? Like, the fuck? All right, cool. So they did that, and then we did another record that felt like R. Kelly, like, I Believe I Could Fly type shit, and it was dedicated to Big Pun. And we had never met Big Pun. We didn't know him or nothing.
Yeah.
So we sent that record to Joe. And then when he heard it, he called, like, it was like 3 in the morning. He was just like, yo, I just heard this song. Y'all gotta come to New York. I'm flying y'all to New York. And he's like, y'all never met this dude. How do you know to write this? Like, y'all wrote this like y'all was with us every day. Like, no. Y'all coming to New York. And then once we got to New York, it was game over. Like, at that time, me and Cool, we was making beats 20 hours a day. Like, we was just like nonstop. And then the other 4 hours we was playing Grand Theft Auto. Like, we was in New York. That's all it was making beats, Grand Theft Auto. So what we would do is every day we'd come to the studio with at least like 20 new beats. At least. He would pick the ones he was fucking with. The ones he wasn't, we put that to the side. And then the very next morning, go hit all the labels, breaking niggas off with CDs, this and that. Go back to see Joe with another 20 pack. So he had no idea that we was out there hustling beats the whole time. He's thinking, there's no way they're giving me 20 beats a day. Like, yeah. The last thing he's thinking is his guys Cool and Dre are working with everybody. He's thinking that we're still like his secret. Like, yo, said, nah, niggas, we was hustling. You know what I'm saying? So Joe giving us that opportunity gave us an opportunity to leave Miami and have a record company pay for us. We ended up being in New York for like the first 3 or 4 years of our career. You know, we spent at least 80% of the year for like the first 3-4 years in New York. And that it was huge for us.
Shout out Steve Ripken, he put us up in.
Yeah.
Shout the
he had us at the
He had us at this one hotel.
It was a
forever.
fly hotel. We was there for months. He had that card on them incidentals.
That's a blessing.
That's a blessing.
Niggas was washing socks. One sock is like $4.50. Niggas was washing underwear, socks.
Nah, it was crazy. We could have just won and bought new clothes because they was charging $10 for one pair of drawers to wash.
That shit. We was there when the towers came down.
So y'all had the big record New York, and then at the same time you came back with Hate It or Love It. Did Fat Joe have Hate It or Love It?
Yeah.
Did he have that beat?
He never had that
Okay,
beat.
so that was just on y'all had in the tuck.
So no, so that beat was like a 2-year-old beat.
Got you. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That beat was on a couple beat CDs.
Got you.
And,
so it was circulating already.
And I remember one person, we got a call about it, Wayne Williams.
Kelly's right here.
Right here, yeah. But he was like, yo, Selena Johnson was writing to the record. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I was like, all right, cool. And then once them CDs is already in production, you know what I'm saying? Them CDs is already rotating. So
you can't call everybody this one's on hold.
Nah. Once some CDs is out, they out. Right? So, you know, we never heard nothing back, blah, blah, blah. I seen an LA number. I was like, hey, this Cool and Dre. I was like, yeah, what's good? It was like, yo, y'all got a record on Game's album. I'm like, oh, word, what record, what beat is it? You know, you can't tell names of them beats on them CDs. So they were like, oh, I'm gonna find out. 2 days later, I'm in the car and that shit comes on. I'm like, Yo, that's up. I called Dre. Yo, this shit is on the radio. He's like, what? The Game record. He's like, what?
A Game was already popping just off
Yeah,
the hype.
he had that.
the
This is how we
picture
do.
with-
He had that. This
he
is
had
how
we
he was
do.
on fire.
Yeah.
He had the picture with him and Dre and Compton by the
About
6'4".
yeah, he was on
like
fucking
he was.
fire.
Yeah, he was. That was a big. That
It was,
shit was,
and then that shit came out. That 2,000 spins at radio. So we got it here. It was already out of control.
And that's just off the beat CD, no track out, nothing.
Strictly off the beat CD.
That's
So we had to
wild.
send the stems. Ended up hearing the final version on the album. We ended up finding years later where the source of the delivery came from, because that's such a key element.
Real talk.
Because there's so much BS people out there. They be like, man, I got you. I'm gonna get your music to the artist, blah, blah, blah.
And then
So
a bunch of people saying, I was the one who did
yeah,
it. Like, it's 10
exactly.
of
So
y'all
we
doing
was
that.
able to find out years later where the exact delivery source came from.
Gotcha.
And shout out to Sha Money XL. You know what I'm saying?
My man.
Because
Shout out to
he hand delivered that. I think he hand delivered it to 50.
yeah.
And then the story is that 50 had cut it. He had laid a hook or something down, and then Dre pressed play, heard it, was like, yo, what we doing with this? He was like, oh, that was just some shit I was working on. He was like, nah, let's give this the Game. Let's finish this up. Dre heard it and was like, yo, let's finish it up.
Let me get that.
Yeah, let me get that for Game. And the man put a mix on that that's historic.
Yeah,
Historic.
unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Unstoppable.
And what's ill about Hate It or Love It, when we made that beat, Dre used to do something in his production that we peeped and we mimicked that. He would always put the tambourine on the down snare, skip a snare, and then on another down snare of all his hooks.
Why you think he did that?
Back then, when you had a loop going, the only way you could make the loop sound different without changing the loop or adding strings and all that other shit is
Maybe
either you
drop
take
the
something,
hi-hats
take
and
something
add
away,
something to give it.
and then it just tricks the air.
Yep.
You think you're hearing something different. It is different, but that loop is still
Yeah, it's still
going.
the same.
It's still
The main
in
loop
your
is still the
fucking
same.
It's the infectious loop.
Yeah, so his snares on the hook had the tambourine, so it's like a little splash, a little sparkle. And we did that on the Hate It or Love It. We threw a tambourine on every off snare on the downbeat for the hook of that.
I'm sure when he heard that.
No,
was
he
like,
just see.
oh, yeah, I like this.
felt
Them
natural.
boys thinking like me.
Right in my vein.
It's just natural. It felt like it was like natural to
Yeah.
him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, when that record dropped, I could just remember New York was out for like 4 or 5 months, killing the place. And me and Kool ain't know it was like a hit like that until we went to LA. We was at the Mondrian and we went to the Sky Bar. We used to spend all our time in New York. So we're thinking, okay, yeah, it's a song about New York, so New York is playing it like crazy. The fucking record came on in the Sky Bar. And
Me
all
and
the-
Dre in the Sky Bar chilling. Nobody knows who the hell we are. We just like
white model
doo-doo-doo.
bitches and niggas started, oh, they started going crazy. I was at the
That
car, I
shit
was like,
came
oh, shit.
on, they lost their mind.
That's
He
when
was
we
like,
I was
"You
like,
got
oh,
one."
shit,
That's
got
we
one.
said, like, oh shit, we got hit. They playing this in LA.
It's all the way, made it all the way to LA. I'm
Yeah.
like,
So when Hate It or Love It dropped, the New York record, it was powerful because it was a dope record. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, the artist, Ja Rule, was in a place and a space in his career where niggas, you know, when niggas shovel dirt
Yep.
over your grave
Yes.
because they want to finish you?
Yes.
Usually when it gets to the top and it matches up the ground, they pat the dirt down
Yeah.
and they walk away. Some niggas will piss on you, you know what I'm saying?
Trying to
Your
make sure it's
grave
over.
to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, what they did to Ja Rule was they kept shoveling the dirt. Like you needed a fucking 10-foot ladder to climb to the top. It was like over the space that he was in. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Which was
Yeah.
ill because the Sky dominated radio. When this shit dropped, it took the whole game by surprise. That like they couldn't believe it. So that added to the impact of the song. You know what I'm saying? Plus, you know, he's in the middle of going back and forth with these other guys, and then Joe gets on the record, and Crack is talking that
A1
talk,
shit.
and
A1
then Kiss
shit.
was talking that talk. So it just put them all in the beef. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the wild shit is 4 months later. It's on and popping. Cool and Dre got Terror Squad chains on, and it's
Shout
no
to CS.
secret, you know, these guys don't get along with each other now. Here comes Cool and Dre with the biggest record on planet Earth with 50 Cent on there. So, you know, it was a weird time because we had to celebrate that victory
when we weren't around Joe.
Almost in
you know
silence.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And we were always around Joe.
Right.
So we celebrated Hate It or Love It quietly. Like, oh, they're coming. Yo, you know what I'm saying?
They ain't never say, yo, y'all record hot. What y'all thinking?
The
Nah, we
minute
chilling.
it was
That's
one
chill.
day, I'll never forget, one day we in New York, we in the back, we used to always ride in the Escalade with Joe. And we'd be in the back seat on the way to the studio, on the way to get something to eat, whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? And the shit was playing on the radio. And I'm in the back seat. And all I see is Joe, like I'm sitting behind him, directly behind him, and he just looks back, shakes his head, and then I look up at the rear view mirror, and the nigga that's driving it is looking.
Everybody shaking their head.
Yo, my nigga.
You couldn't escape that record.
It was an ill time, but God is great. You know what I'm saying? So, but that record changed it all. And still, the only people who really knew we did that record was Fam, because there's no mention of Cool and Dre on that song.
Right.
It wasn't until Mary did the remix.
Yep.
So we go to LA to work with Mary J. Blige because she's like, yo, I need a Hate It or Love It. You guys did Hate It or Love It. Make me a Hate It or Love It, please. So we go to Marvin Gaye's studio in LA, which was an experience all by itself, right? So we go in there to work with Mary. She doesn't get there yet, but there's a songwriter there, Sean Garrett at the time, right? Yep. So Sean Garrett's in the room, and, you know, we're trying to make music. We're trying to, and the chemistry wasn't there. It's no fault of his, no fault of ours. It's just, it wasn't there. And maybe that was an opportunity for Cool and Dre to be like, yo, we'll write the fucking record. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, we being so respectful, like we just brand new.
Facts.
On the height of these two monster records.
We got two monsters. We got two rockets out there going crazy.
So we respecting the set. You know, so what happens is we don't get nothing done with Mary. I'm gonna show you how important this Hate It or Love It record. So we get a phone call from Coach K. And he goes, yo, I want to bring you out of Atlanta. I'm working with this artist, Young Jeezy, on fire right now. So we goes like, let's go. So we go to Atlanta to work with Jeezy, and Jeezy's like, I need that New York. What y'all niggas did with that shit, I need that. In fact, I'm telling all my producers, listen to New York. Them sounds that they use, it was all synths. All synths, Rhodes, pianos, you know what I'm saying, 808, like, you know what I mean? So me and Cool at that time, we never wanted to repeat the sound. We always wanted to, we did that.
We knew. Producer at that time did.
Yeah, we knew. We didn't want to recycle.
We didn't want to recycle the vibe, right? So Jeezy's telling us to do one thing, and we in there trying to do some whole other shit.
Sell him on some other shit.
And then we're telling him, yo, we did Hate It or Love It. You know that, right? Because he was talking about New York so much, and we were so hyped, and we never got a chance to celebrate it, really. So we're like, yo, you know we did Hate It or Love It? He goes, y'all niggas did Hate It or Love It. So he's like, damn, y'all niggas could do all kind of shit. I need that New York. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we in there doing horn records, sampling, everything the man told us not to do. We get a phone call from Mary while we're in the studio with the snow. And fucking Mary goes, yo, I just want y'all to know, I know we ain't getting nothing done in LA. I couldn't take it, so I just sang over the instrumental, I Hate It or Love It. It's gonna be the official remix. I just had to do something with y'all.
And it's going on my album.
Yeah, and it's going on my album. And she's like, I had to do something with y'all, and since you couldn't give me something new, I just sang over the shit I love.
Fire.
So we're like, fuck it.
Recycle.
Got another check.
Got another check, whole other placement put on that album, and
your answer is staring you right in your face.
Yeah.
Jeezy said to do New York. We don't want to do it.
We learned after Mary. We had the
Say
Christina Milian Say I. We had a couple with that vibe that did really good.
But so Mary does the shit, and at the end of the record, Mary goes, Cool and Dre, this beat is hot. And then it was game over. Because like Jeezy, people only thought we did New York. They just naturally assumed Dr. Dre did Hate It or Love It. And niggas ain't reading the credits. Other producers know, because you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that shit ain't have the tag.
So that shit changed everything for me and Cool, because then that record ended up being on 50 Cent's sophomore album. With a whole different remix, and that one song is responsible for like 22 million, meaning it's a part of 22 million albums sold between Mary,
50 Cent shit and Chuck shit.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And it was back to back with New York, and they completely sounded different. They were both, you know, sound like other producers did the record.
Real shit.
So we were blessed to be able to come in the game like that, and it bought us time to put out more hits or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, in this game, you get missing for like 4 months.
You done.
They say they put the dirt on you. You know what I'm saying? So, and Cool and I have gone through that at least twice in our career where they shovel the dirt on us, and then all the way up comes out, and then they gotta be reminded, like, don't play.
So now motherfuckers like, yo, look, man, don't count those guys out because they always got one in the tuck.
Real musicians
You know what I'm
know what's
saying?
going on.
Yeah. They're like, don't count them motherfuckers out in Miami because.
But yeah, so Hate It or Love It was, you know, we always looked at the Neptunes as a standard, and moments in our career that I could recall that like left a stain on the brain. We was in Club Mansion. We walking through the VIP section. We ain't got no tables or nothing. We just like, and shoot, like we on fire. So we won't be outside. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I can remember Pharrell sees us and he just leaves his whole crew to come say what's up to us and showed us love.
Yeah, show us love.
And I looked at
Very
Cool.
P. That's
Yeah.
very P.
Real
Real
shit.
skateboard.
Real.
And he was just like, yo, the bass line on Hate It or Love It, the fucking bass line. He's like, man, congrats. And I'm like, yo, we did New York too, you know that, right? Like, I was always trying to, you know what I'm saying? He's like, word, all right. The bass line, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's how me and Cool like became like a household name, was on those two records. And to this day, you know, I think, you know, we've been blessed to whatever record we've had really hit have been like moments,
Real.
you know, moments in time to where something like a Versus happens with Dipset and the Lox, and we're watching it, like the whole world is watching it, like we're super in tune because it's legendary. And New York comes on with Jadakiss, and I forgot we even did the record. I was so caught up in the shit. I wasn't thinking, yo, he's gonna do New York. New York is the furthest shit from my mind. We're not thinking about New York, and he does that, and then the reaction, I'm like, oh,
the intro,
shit.
and then the song drops, and it was like, oh, viral moment.
Yeah,
Something
you know what I'm
for the
saying?
city. Let's get into the process of it.
For y'all that's watching this is a 20-year-old MPC. If they zoom in on this screen, it's impossible to see anything on this motherfucker. This is like going to Jurassic Park and finding a fucking tablet from fucking caveman days.
There goes. There goes.
All right?
And that's the foundation. On top. Yeah, we about to bring this thing back.
So the sample.
I'll never forget it. We was working Dirtbag.
Yeah.
And I went and I think he did some promo radio station runs, stuff like that. And then we get to, I think it was Gainesville, and I think Q45, we link up with Q45. Shout out Q45.
Shout out to the boy.
Q45 getting brolic, boy.
Shout
Q,
out
I
to
see
the
you in
boy.
that gym, boy. So Q45 is like, yo, we go, takes us to eat, blah, blah, blah. We go to the station, and I'm like, yo, we in this country ass town. I said, I know y'all got some record stores up here. They got some shit. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, man, I got you. I probably picked up like this many records. Something about producers and crate diggers, you know how to pick them covers. Something about the cover work.
I was just talking about this.
It's
bro.
like,
It's the
I don't
cover
know
art
what
that
it is.
sells
We're
it.
drawn to something that has some heat in there somehow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because for them to have shelves and shelves, and for you to be like, man, something about this. Let me see who. Oh, these boys from Philly. Let me.
Yep.
So I probably picked up this many records. I went to the little station, and you know, I'm not listening through every song. If I'm the first sound I hear, I just get the record. So even if it's a snare, pow, I'm like, all right, let me grab this. And I marked it, and then I didn't even hear this sample on the record when I bought it. I bought this for what was on the A side of the album. Long story short, finished the radio run, we get back home. Normally I just wake up and I was going through some of the records, and I was listening to, it's funny because I was listening to 21 Questions from 50. I had that on, I was listening to that. So I was like, so when I'm going through the record and I hear the rubber band, I'm like, so I had the pocket that I put out all the samples. I had all the samples already chopped in, like all the stuff. And then I had the pocket that I put was a 21 Questions pocket. And then, so it had that type of pocket, that type of swing. So I was kind of like, let me listen to some more records, kind of let it sit, went back in the house for a little bit. And then, you know, the door would always be open. You know what I'm saying? So that's Dre was playing, he had that damn encore, and this nigga was playing that shit for like a week straight. Every day he pull up to the studio, encore, dude. He's like, yo, this song. So he comes in the studio, you know, I hear him pull up. I'm still in the house. And then I come in. So normally either he'd have something up and I just go and open up a new program, open up a new sequence. And so that way I'm not fucking up the idea he already had. So Dre started going through the samples and he started a new one. And he was like, yo, I've been listening to this encore. I think this pocket on this shit. I was like, do you think? You know what I'm saying? So Dre starts fucking with the shit and he got the groove going. And I'm like, okay, this shit feeling good. So we had this thing that I always like to do, right? So I just like picking up a record. I just go and dig. Like, you know how they do that roulette?
Yeah.
So I go like this, and I just pick a fucking record out of wherever.
Yeah.
And I drop it on the fucking needle on the record while he's going. And I go like this, and it's the hi-hat. I'm like, oh, sample that. And that was the last fucking piece we put on there. We had the beat, and then we had Dave come
play the bass.
Come play the bass. Doom, doom, doom. We put the bass on there. And that was the beat. We didn't think, we didn't think nothing of it. We're like, yo, this shit is.
That wasn't something that we were going crazy for. Yeah.
We're like, this is just okay. Put this one on the CD. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's so much different because it's a sample versus
the
record y'all dropped before. So y'all giving people two sides of the story. You know what I'm saying?
It's why we're here today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It showed the versatility, and it wasn't like something dropped in January and then 2 years later this other thing dropped. It was 4 months apart. And and you know, give thanks to Mary because she shouted us out on there, and it changed everything for us. You know what I'm saying?
Let's get into a piece of the sample and let's go through that, because I when I heard this, I'm like, how the hell did they get to the part of 2 minutes in? So that's like important when I'm sitting with everybody. Everybody has a different chopping technique. Yeah. So I know mine was, I was coming from DJing. I was a little lazy when I did. I would listen to the beginning, middle, end. Beginning, middle, end. I sat with Bink also, and he says he listens to a whole record.
Yeah, I listen to the whole
before.
record.
Like he'll sit there, roll up, and listen to a whole record, and then he'll take pieces from different parts of the record.
We would do both things. You know,
Both, we
sometimes
do
you just
both.
go like, because you want to find something. And
Yeah,
click
I was
up.
If
just
the
on some
magic is at the top, then you know right away. You know what I'm saying? And you might listen through, see if you hear like a resolve or something. You know what I'm saying?
But it was also some magic in that beginning of that record. That's why I wanted to play a little bit
Yeah.
of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's some
so
magic
so the
there.
crazy thing is this record, so what became Hate It or Love It was a section that wasn't in a traditional 4/4, right? But there's a section in here that I had sampled as well that was a 4/4. That was the section that had the element of that da-na-na, that had that kind of like that pocket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But all this, so basically what normally what we'll do is we'll go through the record and we'll grab all the parts we like.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then we'll go anything that sticks out. So this particular section, so I'm gonna play the beginning of the record because you know the beginning. You know this record has a bunch of little sections, but
This is
so this is what I used.
Okay.
This is what I started with.
Okay.
So
That's hard.
so how does that 21 question go?
Girl.
Girl.
And then let me down. And
That's
I was down.
So it makes sense.
And out.
It makes
But you
sense.
still had love for me.
Yeah. So I started with that. That's what I was like. So the swing, the drums had
That was your
that
DJ
swing.
mind, the DJ
But then
mind
yeah, the
coming through.
DJ
Got you.
mind, right? But then this motherfucker went into this shit right here like 2 minutes into the record. And I was just like, let me sample that in there. I just put all the pieces in there. And it's like, but I didn't start fucking with it because it wasn't a,
It's
it
not
was,
on 4/4.
it's not on
Listen.
4/4, it's not on beat. Listen. So listen.
1, 2, 3, change.
Dun, dun,
Dun. Like
yeah.
Impossible to rap on
It's
it.
like,
this is where the encore comes in. So Cool already had that shit chopped.
Yeah.
right.
So listening to encore, and when I heard that part, it was like, no, all we gotta do is just take that and just hit it twice. Da, da, da.
Create the
This is-
4/4.
Create the 4/4.
We tell guys, don't let the sample
Dictate.
dictate the direction. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, what we did was,
And then that gave us the 4/4.
Oh, okay.
And then
all right, and then on the verse, and do this song. All right.
So the double on the guitar was the verse.
Yes.
to give that little change up. And then the bass on this shit was always direct.
Oh yeah.
And then you got the ba-na-na-na-na. The horn go up.
Yeah, man. It's been so long since a nigga fucked with the MPC.
This thing
2000.
came out.
How old is this one?
Yo, this MPC was this shit, when did we do? We did New York on this shit.
Yeah.
We did all of the records. King of New York we did on this
Yeah,
shit.
this is old.
99.
Okay.
99, 2000.
Okay, so this is only 25 years old.
This is what we did Hate It or Love It on, where we did all New York, Rodeo, all of
Rodeo
our
was on
hit
this.
records we did on this MPC.
In the beginning, the
In the
early
beginning,
stage.
Yeah. And I mean, this
know
motherfucker
y'all
got
did Rodeo. That's crazy.
only 6 working pads. Oh, you ain't know we did Rodeo?
No, dog. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, now Rodeo, that was the first album that Juvenile had that came in at #1.
Yep.
That was
And it was on the heels of Rodeo and Slow Motion for me. Like those are two big boys back to back.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the album version. We did it like a radio station. I'm talking at the beginning of the record, but the radio record didn't have the intro. You know, me and Cool, we've been at this for like 20 something years. So you have different chapters in your career. And if you're lucky enough or blessed enough to be able to experience more than just one chapter, more than two, 3, 4, you know what I'm saying? So I can remember this is probably the second chapter of our career where you were starting to get newer artists coming out like Wale, Meek, and Drake and Kendrick. And I could just remember a lot of those guys always saying, yo, Rodeo.
Bro,
that helped us. That gave niggas a direction, like, yo, Rodeo, that we gotta do shit like that, like, you know. And we never knew, we knew it was a hit record, but we didn't know the impact that it had on
it had a big
lot
impact.
of these, well, at that time, they're all legends now, GOATs now, but that Rodeo left an impression on niggas, you know what I'm saying?
Let's get into the drums and how the sequence of the drums. How did, once you had the 4, what did you get into mindset wise for drums? Did you have a song in mind that's like, man, this has to feel like this besides Encore? Like,
I think this one we just followed the vibe. And
we wanted to keep it. We wanted to definitely keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? We didn't want to overkill. Because a lot of times as producers, you know, we get creative. So we wanted to enhance the groove that was already there.
Studying Dr. Dre like heavy. That's why even the tambourine on the snare on that, we were studying what he was doing, and what he was doing with records, he was just enhancing it and never really interfering with the magic of the sample. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, Primo is somebody that we love because what he does, he's chopping. He's chopping beats, and we love to chop too. So we got a chop bag. Then you have like a Dre, who's someone that that's looking at it from a musician, you know, Quincy Jones, you know, state of mind. That wants that shit to just you know, feel like you're on a journey, and it's just like constant. And so it was just, to us, it felt like, yo, let's just keep the groove that's there, that's going, give it that hit, the snare, the kick. And then the last element was cool, finding that hi-hat loop. It gave it a little grit because the hi-hat wasn't like a shiny hi-hat. It had the dirt on it, and it was a loop. So the hi-hat was like a chop element of what we did to the record. You know what I'm saying?
It gave it that, I think.
Instead of programming like a hi-hat off of a fucking soft synth or something like that, it just gave it.
What it did was, man, it gave it that. It gave it a bounce.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It gave it a bounce because it has that.
And it was and it's not quantized, so it's a natural hi-hat feel that just sat in the groove.
What made y'all go with a live bass on there?
We was putting live bass on everything.
We was working with
the Dungeon family. Like it had to have a live bass.
Anything that we could put live music on, we would do it. You know what I'm saying? So this particular record, we're like, okay, we don't hear no guitars, but we wanted to emphasize that bass. You know what I'm saying?
Dope.
Instead of doing the normal filtering, and you know what I'm saying? Because it had so much elements that it would have been too cluttered up if we would have like filtered it out and to bring that bass out on the sample. So we had the bass player play it, and then when we heard the mix, we're like, hold on, this bass sound different, meaning like sonically. Right. And then we looked at the credits, and Dre had Mike Elizondo, which is a legendary legend. Mike Elizondo played the bass on there. Played it over. But you know, it's one thing to play a bass, but it's also running it through whatever chain Dr. Dre got that bass going through. Yep. It made our bass sound like that shit was a Casio. Bing, 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 bing.
Shout out to Dr. Dre because 20 years later, his shit sonically is still whooping everybody.
Incredible.
If you listen to Hi, My Name Is, and you listen to the snare on that motherfucker, that shit slaps so hard because that record there's nothing but a kick, snare, and that stab, that bump.
It's open.
The separation, the clarity. Like, I remember me and Jay was just like, you could turn this shit up loud and the vocal don't pierce the snare.
I spent endless hours just trying to figure out the mixing techniques of what he was using on each record, like even the formats and how he had some vocals sitting on top of records, but it was still in pocket. You know what I mean? Like it's a different vibe when it comes to his sonic.
Oh yeah, because that vocal is up front.
Bro.
It's like on you. Like, you know what
Things
I'm
just
saying?
ain't the same for gangsters, but
Yeah.
it's like,
It's
you
there.
know what I mean?
It's like everything is disrespectfully loud but perfect,
Right.
but not distorted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't even know how that even makes sense. Yeah, but that bass, man. It's funny because we were in a meeting with Jimmy Iovine, and he was
Years
like,
ago.
years ago, he was like, yeah, I would love to hear, Hate or Love before Dr. Dre touched it.
And me and Cool didn't understand what he meant. He was like,
He
what do
like-
you mean? I want to hear the beat that you guys did so I could hear what he did with it. So me and Cool were just looking like,
Hold on,
what
he
is
trying to play something?
I couldn't understand because I'm like, it's the same beat. So Cool opens up the laptop, hooks up. All right, here he goes, and he plays it, and Jimmy just sings it. Oh, it's the same beat. Like, what's going on?
He just did a hell of a mix.
He's trying to see where.
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah.
yo, these motherfuckers, Dre probably went in there and redid the whole shit.
For sure. And we
He was
ain't
like,
mad
oh,
at
he
him.
put a hell of a mix on this.
Yeah.
I ask this question to everybody because I've had it after I listened to a record. Is there something in this record you was like, damn, I wish we'd have did this?
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. This is one of the probably few records, because normally we get to hear the
Post-production.
mixes
Yeah, we
before,
ain't
we
yeah.
get approval.
Yeah.
This is the only time where I've heard one of our mixes where we didn't hear it on a CD when it came out, and I was like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
There's one other guy that mixed. Pharrell used to use him all the time. We use him on Naomi.
Serban, that guy, he's
Serban's
unstoppable.
incredible.
He does all Taylor Swift shit. Like
He
he
does everything.
he don't
Shout
fuck
out,
around.
which is the camera?
You mix a record for us before the price is too crazy.
The price is crazy.
Yeah, before the price is too crazy. The man.
Serban got a point too. He's
Oh
like,
no,
yo,
no, he get a
I'm getting
point.
on the
That's
beat. Shout out to
don't get it
Serban.
twisted.
But yeah, those are the questions I was asking because a lot of the producers, they get stuck and they be like, bro, I wish I was able to get in there and do this during the mix because I didn't like my
Oh,
snare.
yeah.
I'm just like, bruh, I
That
had
used
some
to-
mix passes that stopped at 1. You know what I mean? That
For
was
us,
amazing
it
mix.
was more like
That used to happen to us locally. Like
Yeah.
before we started, like, you know what I'm saying? We made a name for ourselves locally. There was this one, I'm not gonna say his name. Shout out, God bless you. And this nigga was so disrespectful, this engineer. This man was swapping out drums.
Oh yeah.
This man was muting.
Nah, he did the number one thing you do not do. To
My
a
man would
producer.
swap out our drums, mute shit, and he would program a new rhythm section by muting and unmuting. Like, this man was in there going crazy. But we were still coming up. Like, we were still coming up in the game. You know what I'm saying? He was doing his thing.
He's trying to get the co-pro.
You know.
He's like, man, I ain't like that kick.
And he wasn't. And the thing that was
He
ill
said
about
it's just so hard to get that kick to pump.
why we never really tripped on him. We was coming up, so we was like paying your dues. But he was up front with it, right when you walked in. Hey man, I swapped out the kick, swapped out the snare. Like, stop. I had to get rid of that.
I'm like, bro, you fucked up the whole beat
I'm like,
because it
it's not
sounds
this-
completely different now. Like we you go through a library try to find the right texture. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Nah,
you
this
just
nigga
grab.
this nigga was
So
wildin'.
Engineers, please don't do that. Don't change
Please
don't change the
Especially with
producer
rappers,
sounds.
They got demo items.
Yeah, without.
Don't
So
touch
that's
the record.
definitely that happened not a couple years ago with it was a big record, and the I hear we're getting ready to listen to the record before it gets sent to the mix engineer. So I'm in the studio and I'm sitting in the back, Dre's on the front vibing, and then they play this shit and I'm like, what happened to the drums? What the fuck? What happened? My heart, I was like, oh, because this shit is about to go to the mix engineer. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I go to the engineer, I'm like, bro, let me see the stems I sent you, because those ain't the same drums. So he's like, oh, hold up. So he opens them up and there's no effects on them. But I'm like, what the fuck? How can that be possible? The 808, everything sounds, he's like, oh, you know what? I think these are printouts of the process drums.
Dry.
So I'm like, oh, I said, go to the shit before this printout happened. So then he had to go. That shit it wasn't even activated. Everything was in a hidden file. So as he's unmuting them, as he's activating them, I'm seeing the kick come up, and I see all kind of effects, compressors, and I'm like, all right, so mute all the new shit, and then take every effect off of the original stems I sent you. He did that. And it was like,
And we back.
bro, I said, bro, you can't do this. I said, you're a great engineer, but you cannot change shit up and then print it, because there's no going back. The mix engineer, you about to have us try to find this mix engineer and try to kill his ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot print EQ'd shit. Rule number one. You know what I'm saying? I see if you're printing the auto tune, because people do that so that way the reading is exactly. But you can't print a processed kick. And I mean, you shouldn't even be processing kicks. Leave that shit for the engineer. You know what I'm saying? So took it all off, and then I was like, finally, this fucking record is back to where it was. But if we wouldn't have gone to do that, it would have been a mission. I would have had to send the engineer, like the mix engineer, everything over. And I tell guys all the time, I say, look, if you feel a way about a song, let it be known. Because there's been a couple instances where we kind of let shit slide on the label side, where they're like, oh, we feel.
Yeah, you can tell them. We did a record with Wale and Lady Gaga, Chillin'. It was like one of his first big records. He was on Interscope. And Lady Gaga did a hook, and then she did a bridge. And then someone at the record label decided that, no, the bridge should be the hook, and turned the hook into like a bridge. Song comes on, it did okay for Wale, but it didn't turn up until the bridge, because that was the original hook. You feel what I'm saying? And this is Lady Gaga. She was just coming right off the
She never did a
Poker Face.
feature for no rapper before. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This was a huge look for Wale. And we didn't.
We
should have been
stood on
more
business.
proactive and be like, we should have stood on business and be like, no, y'all, no, do not do it. You know what I'm saying? But we were.
But the exec who changed it was super high up.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
like,
he was
yo,
like-
listen, she's the one that's giving the clearance for Lady Gaga, so you gotta let her do what she's doing.
We gotta let her do what it do. The pop radio, blah
Sometimes
blah
it's
blah.
like that.
But the reason I'm saying that is because, you know, a couple months or maybe a year later, we're at dinner, right? And then the same A&R was like, you know what, man, I gotta tell y'all this, man. He goes, we fucked that song
It
up.
always comes
We
back,
fucked that
bro.
song up,
It
man,
always
because
comes back.
we should have never switched it. I'm like, damn it,
It
man.
always
You know what I'm
comes
saying?
back, bro.
We should have never fucked with that hook. We should.
It always comes back. It's been an honor, bro, sitting with y'all, man. Two
Much
goats.
love. Thank you, man.
I just want to give y'all your flowers.
Nah, we appreciate you, Don.
You know, this is BackTrak, and this is what we do, man. We go back to these places and we show people where the real ones created the real records.
Oh, that's love, man.
You know
That's
what I mean?
love. And we appreciate what you're doing, man. You're a DJ, you're a producer. You know, you're now
mogul.
Yeah, you're now doing things outside the box, even though you got two of the hottest artists signed to your company, your record company. You know what I'm saying? To still be out here doing this content, giving these young guys the game and the tools is important, because, you know, the traditional way of doing things as a producer is over. You know what I'm saying? If you're a music producer, you know, when Cool and Dre was coming up, you know, you just had to affect radio, like, or you know, do things like that, and you can make a name for yourself. But now, in 2024, you know, if I go on Tidal and I look up the credits to see who did a record, it's 10 people, and I'm not knocking it. It is what it is, you know. Cool and I are the true example of collaboration. It's two of us, so we've been collaborating from day one, and we collaborate with other producers all the time. Shout out 808 Ray and a lot of the guys that we work with. You know what I'm saying? You doing this is letting you know it's even easier now. You just got to go about it right as a producer. That's why we'll look at someone like a Metro Boomin and be like, yo, reminds me of the guys that when we were coming up made a way and made a name for themselves to be able to like stand out, for us to remember them, you know, 10 years from now. So, you know, my point is, if you're making music as a producer, you don't gotta wait for artists to come rap on your shit. Create a Spotify page, put your music out there, use your fucking social media and go promote the shit that you're working on. You know You know what I'm saying? Me and Cool used to make 50 beats every day. And we'd be outside in the hot ass Miami sun, going to all kind of dangerous spots to drop off beat CDs to see if a nigga would rap on it. And if they had $500 for it, it's great. But if you ain't got nothing, just still rap on it so we can hear what our shit sound like. And even back then, them niggas is independent companies and they never get to put their music out because niggas get chapped up by what they hustling. They doing it, you know what I'm saying? It's so easy to put your shit out now. You know what I'm saying? Go make your beats. Don't wait for a nigga to rap on your shit. Create an artist page. Put your shit up on YouTube. Put your shit up on all the DSPs. Make a name for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And just want to give y'all niggas some game.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that game. This is BackTrak, Cool and Dre.